Hello everyone! Rune! Yeah, that Rune from the Azur lane. Yes, blonde hair, little red lines here and there. That smile, sweet smile. Very delicate clothing. Very heavily ironed boots. Iron claws, very sharp ends. And very fascinating rigging design. And underneath all this is a personality that really, really loves to crush sweet things. If they happen to trick Rune very unique way on the battlefield. So do not underestimate Rune character just because her sweet personality on the board. And God forbid if she ever goes rampage. Anyway, this is a blueprint ship heavy Cruiser Roon. And I believe she was from... oh yeah, she was the first blueprint ships ever released. Alongside the others. As you can see on her dialogue, it really shows her true personality hidden there. It's like... yeah, I don't think I need to explain more often about her personality if you know Rune's true personality. Or maybe I should just twist the question, what is Rune's true personality? Either way, she is a very old ship. I believe she was released somewhere 2020, if I remember correctly. Or was it 2019? Either way, she also appeared in Azur Lane Crosswave as a DLC character. And my god, she is a powerhouse in that game. If you build her character right in the Crosswave, she can deal some insane amount of damage against light armor enemies. Thanks to her heavy HE critical barrage. And very absurd damage increased and all that, but that's on the other game. But what about Rune in the original game, the mobile Azur Lane main game, Azur Lane itself? Well, I'm gonna read it right over here because I have fully olded and limit breaked her, so I'm gonna read the stats right here. If you 100% complete her, in level 125 she has 6397 HP, very decent amount of HP for a tanky character, with a medium armor, reload 184, very decent, or standard heavy cruiser style. Her firepower 306, very common alongside other heavy cruisers. She gets torpedoes 232, evasion 85, and her anti-air, by Ironblood standards, I think this was decently good, 251. With her accuracy 136, with her speed 26. Because she is blueprint ship, her luck stat is very zero-like. But if you happen to, let's just say, upgrade her skills and all that, you can increase her luck stat to 15, making her more reliable. Because according to the game stat itself, the luck stat affects the ship's probability of landing and avoiding regular hits and critical hits. 15 is a very low, but because she's a blueprint ship, I think higher than this would make her probably more effective and more powerful. Because she's a blueprint ship, she is a rather costly one with a 13 oil points. But if you happen to have her, shall we say, in a stock skills, as you can see in an Expert Loader Plus, the skill is way different compared to her original, because the original says the following according to Azur Wiki is that changes the ammo type of this ship's main guns to HE. Every time this ship fires a main guns, increase this ship reload by 3.5%, can be stacked up to 12 times. The ammo type of these main guns will alternate between HE and AP every 2 shots. Now this is her original skill, but if we go to the Augment module version, which happens to be this bad boy, Purge of everyday items, which is stacked very suspicious items, if I have to say. You could say there's either nunchucks or torpedoes, very suspicious paper knife, and very suspicious club. It also gives extra firepower 35 and evasion points 15, and based by Augment modules modification effect /attack, which is spread. The ship in the frontmost position, your vanguard, performs a /attack, yada yada yada. And this is also, which also upgrades the Expert Loader to Plus, which says the following. When this ship fires her main guns, increase this ship firepower and reload by 3.5%, can be stacked up to 12 times. Every 20 seconds, fires level 10 special barrage. Damage is based on the skills level. That makes enemies hit take 10% increased damage from this ship for 10 seconds. Every 2 times this ship fires her main guns, changes the ammo type into HE or AP of her next 2 volleys. This ship fires... excuse me. This ship's first and second main gun volleys fired will use HE ammo. So that was very uniquely way to say. But if I recall correctly, if we go all out assault, you can see it is a mixture of HE and AP, and it is very aggressive looking barrage. Goes forward simply, but then it spreads drastically. Probably hits a couple of enemies in the process too. And then we have well-rounded armor plus. If we go read to the wiki, it says every 30 seconds spawns 2 rotating shields that absorb 8 shots each. Lasts 15 seconds. But if we actually fate simulation well-rounded armor plus, it says the following. At the start of battle and every 30 seconds after that, spawns 4 rotating shields that absorb 8 shots each. Lasts 15 seconds. So you can get this shield immediately. And after that, 15 seconds, there is another 15 seconds cooling time. If the shields haven't been destroyed, because 4 rotating shields that absorb for 8 shots each. I think they are secondary shells, I believe, like destroyer guns, kinda like. Now then, there's also a lot more interesting information going on in the Azur Lane wiki, so I'm gonna drop a screenshot right here, which is very interesting related to the barrage itself, with the Expert Loader Plus, and then we have All Assault Rune 2. Fascinating amount of information I have to tell ya, so it's better you read it right here. But because she's an old ship, we also have Siren Killer 3, increases this ship damage to sirens by 15%, which is good, because she is designed to fight against sirens in the Operation Siren. And then we have All Assault, activates All Assault 2 Rune. Once every 8 times the main guns are fired. As for the gear up, as you can see, I have a mixture of very interesting loadout. I have, shall we say, Hindenburg guns with the AP, with the damage 53-6, with the fire rate 5.7 seconds on wave, and firepower 65. Gear properties and all that. Damage modifier. Then I have Ironblood's quadruple magnetic torpedoes. But then I decided to give Saradegna Empire's anti-air gun. It may have short range 25, but then again it has 130 damage and wave, but reload time is 0.78 seconds per wave, which, by the way, I believe is a very good fast firing short range anti-air gun. But I am not sure is this fully capable doing its job based upon community's opinions about it, but I'm gonna use it on her rune anyway. I gave her a few more 25, which happens to be level 13, with the extra hit and firepower and Operation Dire Siren damage boost, which is 3%. And this is from the Ironblood. Because I want to activate her barrage decently often, I gave her Autoloader, which happens to give extra firepower and also reload, and also Operation Siren damage boost 1%. And with this, thanks to it, I have 5.7 second firing rate. But if I remove it, I have 6. Just somewhere 6.6 second reload time. So there's a small difference. So I'm gonna keep it 5.70 seconds. And with that, the question remains, before I give my final opinions, is Rune suitable today's Azur Lane? And by the way, Azur Lane did collaborate with the World of Warships, and Rune is World of Warships Rune. I'm gonna draw the pictures right here about the heavy cruiser Roon, which is tier 9 heavy cruiser, German ship, Tech 3 ship, excuse me. Now then, I'm gonna give my final opinions, and is Roon worthy in today's Azur Lane and future Azur Lane? Alright, commanders, boys and girls, Lucky Mia's voiceover over here, and of course, as usually, I always forget some small details and other, shall we say, well, in this case, skins, review some of them. This far, Roon actually has a very good amount of skins. Surprisingly, most of them are party dresses. Party dresses. And then the other is, yes, vacation, is it? And then we have Oath skin, which is rather very beautiful looking. I have to say, it was slight. I forgot to review these extra skins. But now talking about skins, I still have to add this one simple question. When we get the crosswave skin for the Roon, the Roon in the school, so you know that one we see in the crosswave. And the second one was, of course, the fact that small detail, which actually says in one photo, reveals that since Roon has 2 main gun mounts, the ammo will swap every reload cycle. HE has armor modifiers of 135, -95, -70. AP has armor modifiers of 75 and 110 and 75. And this actually showcased the small detail I actually forgot to point out. That's why I always have Azur Wiki on my second screen, is because I can actually read the gears. And indeed, Roon has 2 main gun mounts, not 1. So, yes, she can fire a lot of shells with those 2 main guns. And she has 1 torpedo mount and 1 anti-air gun mount. Yes, these are the things I actually forgot to mention at the start. Now, about Roon in current Azur Lane and the future Azur Lane. Just because she was released somewhere 2020, if I recall correctly, or 2019, apologies if I haven't checked that information yet. But in any case, I believe that she was designed to be played in an old way, not the current way, if you know what I mean. Well, let me add more details, and that is currently some today large cruisers, some of them at least, have buffs, and that can actually put them a lot higher performance levels. Now Roon, on the other hand, yes, in her old expert loader, let me remind you by reading this again. Every time TC fires her main guns, increase TC reload by 3.5%. Can be stacked up to 12 times, but if you go with the Augment Module Expert Loader Plus, it will then transforms into when this ship fires her main guns, increase this ship firepower and reload by 3.5%. And this is the example what today Azur Lane Sick Girls are doing. They either buff themselves immediately at the start of the battle, or some cases, some random cases, it will take some piling up the stats to actually increase the firepower or some other stats. And Roon case, if we follow with the Alchem module version, is that every time she fires her main guns, and let me remind you, she has 2 of them, increases firepower reload by 3.5% and 12 times, which means he can actually do it very quickly. And then we have every 20 seconds for a level 10 special barrage. Damage is based on the skill level that makes enemies hit take 10% increased damage from this ship for 10 seconds. And that is every 20 seconds. So there's a, I believe, 10-second gap before it fires again. And then we have every 2 times this fires the main guns, changes the ammo type into AG or AP of her next 2 volleys. This ship's first and second main gun volleys fired will use AG ammo, and this is where the small detail comes in, which actually says since Roon has 2 main guns, the ammo will swap every reload cycle. So yeah, she is packing way more than I thought. And in the World of Warships, this is some small detail I wanted to point it out too. Since the Anglo-German treaty, some kind did it fall apart? No, I don't think so. Well, anyway, somewhere that time, Germany decided to go with the upgrading this Deutschland class ships, and henceforth we have the Roon design, and to increase the speed they had to reduce the main guns to somewhere 203mm ones, but they did indeed wanted to increase the firepower, just giving her the Deutschland class guns, the 283mm ones. And by this, I think the reason why we have this unique rigging design, just looking by it seems like she has this Deutschland class main gun mounts on her back. And they're completely different to what they look like in the World of Warships example. And to think I was playing this game for now 8 anniversaries straight, and now I actually got myself the answers for why her guns look like the Deutschland class types. Just because the Germany just wanting to give Roon the Deutschland class mounts, just on triple mounts. Huh, no wonder. Back to the Roon. If you really want to bring everything out the Roon has, what I want to recommend is to find someone like Bismarck to increase the critical rate and the reload speed. Bismarck's weight did also help with the firepower increase. Was there someone else? Well, I was thinking about damage reduction, something like having craft Zeppelin along the way. Now usually having 2 heavy cruisers on a vanguard is sometimes considered a bad idea because how sluggish they become. That's why I was wondering having a Deutschland in the first slot and Roon somewhere second or third. But Deutschland is just an optional. Friedrich Karl could be also optional, but I don't think those that help at all. But what I want to point out is Roon relies on team play. And if you want to give Roon some very significant buffs, you must find ship girls that can actually be on her favor. And if you actually look into the other ship fleets you can actually find in the exercises example, you can find some very bizarre combinations just because how they work and how they can help each other and how they are buffing each other to boot. Like Jinsu Meta or Jinsu herself giving some insane torpedo critical rate, and if you combine with the, was it Unzen? with someone like giving torpedo critical rate. That's absurd combination, but very impressive one indeed. And Roon actually behaves the same way. You must find the ship girls that can actually give her some very good buffs. Reload, critical rate, firepower, you name it. Henceforth, she's from the era that is still available today, although we are moving forward to how ship girl skills are evolving these days. But is she useful? Well, for a tanky side, I think my build with the Fumo 25 and the auto reloader, I think that's not gonna help her survive at all. That's just giving her the extra oomph to her battle performance. Because I wasn't planning to make her a tanky character at all. The reason, which is very understandable because this information is also coming from the community itself, and that is her well-rounded armor, how it behaves. If you've seen how these shields appears around the rune, I believe that's the worst design shield I have ever seen. Like, was it one shield goes around the rune, not front, and enemies are on the front? That shield is basically useless if it's going around and being behind you, blocking just shells that are just missed. So yeah, I believe the well-rounded armor, how it works, is just terrible, to be honest. If there was any chance to make it better, just added very simple strong shield front of rune. That would have been a lot more useful compared to this having 4 seals that are rotating around you. But then again, we have enemy attacks that go well around. But then again, the way it works, it's just completely disaster. It's well too badly balanced to the point of being useless. If they could rework that shield, it could be really good. Like, why put it far? Just put it like just around rune, 4 seals and spin around. That would have been more useful. But other than that, I don't think there's nothing else to be said about Roon. She's just a very old-fashioned playstyle ship that just needs some help from other ship girls that has some very good buffs to offer to the Vanguard, or backline fleet has something good to offer to the Vanguard. That's all she just need. And of course very good armament, of course, the auxiliary as well. Is she good being a boss fleet or a mob fleet? I use her only in Operation Siren, so I think she can do both in right circumstances and with the right fleet. I think she can do both in Operation Siren. But on the main campaign, I'm not really sure, but you can try. But that's all I'm gonna say about the Roon. Thank you so much for watching. My name is LuckyMaster05, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please take care of yourselves, and see you